What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Superman 2025 movie review. I have reviewed the old Christopher Reeves movies. I never did review the Brandon Ruth movie. I also I don't believe I ever reviewed Man of Steel. I know I reviewed BVS on this channel, but Man of Steel, I think I did. Maybe I don't really remember. I will not be doing comparisons, and if I do comparisons, it's going to be more minor stuff. It's not going to be anything really. I'm not trying to sit here and say who's the better Superman or this Superman, nothing like that. I'm just here to talk about this specific movie and character and all that stuff. So now I bet some of you are wondering, Michael, don't you usually do like big, like very interesting type of intros when you really, like a movie and you really want to express that? Yes. And I think that you can already tell that kind of explains already how I feel about the movie. Okay, so this is what this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this big, like, opening, but I ended up not going forward with it because, obviously, of how I felt about the movie. But how did I feel about the movie, you may ask, Michael? It was fine at best. It was meh at the worst. There are a lot of people who either they love this movie, and then you got people who really hate this movie. I am with the group of people who thought that the movie was okay or was all right. It was roughly paced. The movie was really roughly paced. It lacked proper transitions, which sometimes I feel like I get whiplash when we go right to the next scene. And it just was, I don't know, like a lot of the shots were just almost just straight trailer shots. They showed you a lot in the trailers, honestly. I would even argue a bit too much. But like I said, the movie itself is fine. It's an okay movie. But again, it was roughly paced. There were some questionable decisions that were made with some characters. I'm not going to really talk about that too much without going. We will be doing a spoiler section, so I will be. It's not going to be a long spoiler section. So if you're willing to stick around after the however long this is going to be for me to talk about a little bit more of the reasons of things I liked and didn't like and stuff like that, because it's kind of hard to talk about it, honestly, because like the plot of the movie, there are things in the plot where it's like I can't really tell you too much without spoiling it. So all I can really tell you about the plot of this movie is Lex Luthor wants to destroy or kill Superman. That's the plot of the movie. I can't really go into any further detail without spoiling it. So with that being said, yeah, I mean, that's not much else I can really say. What else can I really say about this movie? I mean, a lot of people said it felt, a lot of critics said that it felt a lot like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I can agree with that to a certain extent, actually. Like, it does have a little bit of that feel. But it's still a movie, right? It's at least, a 2-hour long cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean, without further ado, let's just kind of talk about the cast. Starting up with the boy in the blue himself, Superman, David Cornsweet. So, almost perfect. He was almost perfect. He put everything he had in this role, and it really shows. And he did a really, really fantastic job, I would say. But what kind of sucked though is like the only time you see his Clark Kent is only for that scene in the it's in the trailer of him. Just that's the only scene that he's Clark Kent. Everything else he's Superman, which people could say is a good thing, is a bad thing. I like a good mixture, like not too much you know, it's good to, you know, have those alter egos kind of combine sometimes or mash together, or, you know, have some complications or whatever. But there was nothing like that really. He was mostly Superman most of the time, except for that one scene where he was Clark. And honestly, I feel like that scene was more just to kind of establish the other characters and introduce you to everybody else, which is why sometimes this movie feels very fast. And, you know, that's why I say whiplash, because, like, all of a sudden you're in the next scene and, like, oh, here's Jimmy, here's Lois, here's, you know, here's Cat Grant, here's all these characters that you remember from the comics and the old shows and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but take your time. You know, you don't got to rush, especially if, you know, you got a 10-year plan, because apparently they are going to have a 10-year plan here with this. I mean, they've already announced the next, like, couple movies coming out after this movie. So, I mean, they really want to push this. So, we'll see how that goes. But, no, David was pretty solid. Even though he didn't have a lot of Clark in here, overall, it was pretty solid. And he saves everybody, you know, Superman. He saves everybody. Even saves animals, which my brother really, really loved, because he's a big animal guy. He loves animals. I love animals too, but, like, he really is just, like, because I remember I asked him, like, what his favorite scene was, and he said his favorite scene was when he was, like, saving animals and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it seems like people are really happy to see Superman saving people, which is good. I'm glad that, you know, I think that's something that you should definitely have, especially it's a hero. It's a superhero. He's supposed to save people. That's the point of being a superhero. Or a hero in general, not walking up to the bad guy all the time and giving him a good old whack. You know, it's good to see a hero save people, or a superhero. You know what I mean? So, no, overall, David, fantastic. Did a fantastic job. Almost perfect again, but again, I just feel like I would like to see more of his Clark. It was mostly just Superman throughout this movie, but really good. Fantastic. Great job. Moving on. The big baddie himself. Lex Luthor, the baldness himself. Nicholas Hoult. A bit weird at times. I felt like there were parts where he was a little too cartoonishly evil. But, like, but those are very small parts where overall he did actually a really, really good job. But no, like, sometimes it's like he's being evil for the sake of being evil. Even because here's, again, I'm trying, it's hard for me to kind of talk about it sometimes, because it's like, oh man, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I also kind of want to explain myself, right, when I say certain things. The best thing I can say is I'm not used to seeing Lex get his hands dirty unless it's him actually trying to put hands on Superman. Let's just say that. That's the only time usually is when I see Lex try to actually physically do anything. Otherwise, he has mercenaries or hired goons usually do things, but which he does. He does have a lot of goons in this movie doing stuff for him. You can tell that I didn't really rehearse the script. Bear with me here. I got like 3 pages to go through. But overall, you know, fantastic performance from Mr. Hoult. He did a great job as Lex Luthor. Really, really, really liked it. Lois Lane, Rachel, what's her name? Rachel Brosnan? I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. By the way, a lot of these actors are a lot of new people. We haven't really seen these actors too much before. Like, I never even heard of David until, like, you know, he was announced for this role, and Lois too here. Like, and unfortunately, what I have to say about Lois is she doesn't get as much screen time, I feel like, as much as some other Loises have in the past. As I expected, which kind of sucked. I didn't expect that, honestly. She kind of almost disappears in the third act too, which, I mean, is fine because of the way that the story's going, but it's like, oh, she's just, I guess we're doing this now, you know. She was okay though. She wasn't my favorite Lois, but she was okay. I also felt like her chemistry with Clark or David in this movie wasn't the best. I feel like I've seen better chemistry between other actors and actresses with the Superman Lois role. Um, I don't know. I just feel like the chemistry could have been a bit better, and I just feel like Lois kind of disappeared in the third act. It was kind of like, okay, bye. I don't know. But overall, she was okay. She's all right. She wasn't, she didn't do anything too crazy, but she was obviously helpful in the story and stuff like that. But mostly, I would say in the second act of the story, not so much the first or the third act. All right, moving on. Jimmy, my boy, Jimmy Olsen. Skylar Gisato, I believe his name is. Sorry if I butchered it. I played Jimmy well. Like a lot better than I thought, honestly. I mean, apparently, I looked this up before I actually started recording. Apparently, in the comics, Jimmy's got some like mutant power for women to just be super attracted to him, which is funny because it's a plot point in the movie. Like, it's actually useful, which is really weird. It's just weird though, when you don't know that from the comics, it's very strange because it's like, why are all these like 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10 girls just going for this short, dude who's probably like my height or about my height, like 5'10" or whatever, just, getting all these girls that are like 6 foot tall. And that's all I'll go on. That's all I'll say. But it's like, man, like that's just like, what? What is going on here? It's funny because it's like a running gag that's like, it's part of this plot. It's part of the story, which I mean, it works. That's what I can say. It works. But overall, I really liked Jimmy's performance. It's been a long time since I've seen a good Jimmy Olsen, I feel like. All right, so moving on to for some reason, a lot of people's favorite second actor in this movie, Mr. Terrific. Eddie Gathegi, I think his name is. Sorry if I butchered it again. A lot of new people here I've never really seen before. He played him terrific. Yes, I know, I had to make the joke. But seriously, he did a really, really great job. I really like seeing some lesser known characters especially in like movies. It's good. Because we're used to our Lexes or our Doomsdays, but our Flashes, our Wonder Womans. But it's like, oh man, Mr. Terrific. That's like I think he was in like the animated series for Justice League, if I remembered, like the Unlimited or something. Like, you don't really see him too often, so it's good to see characters like him on screen. I like that. I like when we see lesser known characters on screen. I think that's really cool. I think it lets us have more. It's good to, like, you have them, use them. Like if you want to add variety or add more characters or stuff like that. So it's, again, really, 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 he did a really, really great job. He definitely had a lot more screen time than I expected. He actually had a lot more than Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern or Hawkgirl. So I was, but it was good. Like, he did a great job, and he was important to the plot, so it works. And again, overall, he did a terrific job. I know, bad joke. Green Lantern, Nathan Fillion. Oh, I wanted more. I wanted more. Like yes. He does a lot of F-bombs and flipping of the fingers. I think you even saw it a little bit in the trailers. But besides the haircut, man, I loved him. Like, I remember when... maybe I'm biased because I really... Like, I love Green Lanterns. I know... I don't really talk about it too much, but I remember when I was younger, I loved Green Lantern was... He wasn't my favorite, but he was like one of my favorite Justice League characters growing up. Like, I don't know, it was the power, like maybe it was the ring power or something of just being able to, make all these different kind of things. I just really loved it. I just really, really loved Green Lantern. Just the ring, the powers, the characters in general. Like, really, 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 I really, really want to see that more. Maybe I'll watch that Lantern show or whatever they're cooking up, but I'm not sure. We'll see. We will see. Which is, again, it sucks, because I really wish he was Hal Jordan. We're going to be getting Hal Jordan in Lanterns, so we'll see how that goes. But Nathan Fillion played Hal Jordan in his, I think, the animated series, his own little animated cartoon show. I believe so. Or, like, I'm trying to remember. It was one of them. It was one of them or multiple, I don't remember. But, like, I remember being like, yeah, that's, like, the voice of Green Lantern. And it was cool to see him. And he did a really good, again, very good job, even just live action in it, too, you know. Which makes me wish we got to see a lot more actors do that, too. You know, like Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. You know, I remember when we really wanted Batman Beyond for him to be Bruce Wayne, but that never happened because, you know, WB. But yeah, no. Really, really wanted to see more of him. But he was definitely my favorite out of the Justice Gang. Yes, that's a real name team in this, which I guess will later become the Justice League. I don't know. We'll see. It's really weird. But I don't know. Again, I just wished he played Hal Jordan. But still, he was amazing. I just wish I got to see more of him, honestly. Hawkgirl, or for some reason the internet likes to call her Hot Girl, because you guys are weirdos and thirsty all the time. Isabel Merced, I believe her name is. I've seen better. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like she had the least screen time, by the way. Like, she surprisingly was the one who had the least amount of screen time out of all three of these characters here. You know, and I've seen some Hawkgirls. I've seen Hawkgirls in TV shows, live action TV shows, and other stuff, but I think maybe it's because she didn't have enough time, but, like, she definitely, I feel like, still had a lot to prove to me, unfortunately, which I just wasn't buying it. She also had this, like, scream, like, this screech that she would do. I guess she was trying to, like, terrify her enemies, and it was not scary. I was just like, ugh, like I wanted to run away from the sound, because I was like, what a disgusting sound. Like, ugh. It wasn't scary. I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was just stupid. But yeah, no, I hated that. Overall, they could have done better with her, honestly, you know. And that's the problem. You have all these characters in this one movie, and it's like, you know, somebody's gonna get shafted here, and unfortunately that ended up being Hawkgirl. And I don't know, and that's the thing, and that was one of the worries when you had all these characters on screen. It was like, are you sure that you want to do all these other extra characters right now? And that's what we got, and, you know, it kind of made it a bit messy, but it also helped its plot, so I don't know. Metamorpho. Anthony Carradine, I think his name is. Bigger name here in the. I actually know this guy from a few other shows and stuff, but so a bigger name here. Again, I like seeing lesser known characters in, especially these new modern superhero films. I think that's good to introduce new characters and stuff like that. But Metamorpho in this movie, I feel like he was just okay. I expected something a bit bigger, honestly, from him. I think from the trailers and stuff, but it was fine. You know, I thought he was gonna be like some big villain that Superman was gonna end up fighting or something. But that's not what happened. You know, it's funny. There's a lot of things that I expected to happen in this movie, and they didn't happen. Which it was kind of unfortunate, you know, because, like, I felt like some of my ideas were a bit better than what they did here, unfortunately. But I don't know. Overall, I think that I think Anthony's performance of Metamorpho was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. Like I said, it was just like he's here. He was just kind of there, I feel like, unfortunately, which is annoying, but I don't know. There's also a lot of other characters. There's a lot of characters and actors that I could talk about, sit here and talk about individually for a while. but we're already almost at about 20 minutes. So what I can say is overall, the casting was almost perfect. I just feel like there were certain characters that maybe didn't get enough screen time, or I felt maybe, could have been elaborated on a bit more or expanded upon. But again, when you're trying to fit that all into a 2-hour movie, that's when you have problems, which is why, it's better to establish your character and story before you start doing stuff like that, which is unfortunately this movie falls into this trap where it's trying to kind of... This movie is like for people who read these books, read the comic books, and are well known with this character, well aware of who this character and characters in his universe are, which is not smart, because especially when you're introducing new characters, it's better to do those origin stories at that point. You don't have to always do it one by one, but maybe a small little flashback, or maybe something like that, or maybe a more explained thing. But again, that movie doesn't do that. It's so focused on its plot, which is very simple, might I add, and it just it doesn't add anything to it, and that's kind of I feel like where it really falls. So with that, so we're finally on my final page here, so we're almost done. So okay, so yeah, my final thoughts. I saw a lot of people, again at the beginning, a lot of people said that this was either the best thing they ever saw, or this was the worst thing they ever saw. I saw 3 videos. Before I did my review, I saw 3 reviews. I saw one review that was someone who hated the movie. I saw another one where someone absolutely loved the movie. And then I saw another person who was more like me, where they were in between, kind of in the middle with it, who thought that the movie was okay. And I am one of those people. I think that the movie was okay. I think it was fine. A lot of people are trying to say that this movie is about kindness, and about, because the message of the movie essentially is about kindness, and kindness is punk rock, which I think is stupid. I think that's dumb. I think that you should just be kind to people. I don't know why, because I even saw people on Twitter, they're like, man, I'm going to be kinder to people now. A movie shouldn't convince you to be kinder to people, or vice versa. You know what I mean? It's just you should just be kind to people. I don't know, and that's true. I will admit, that is true. Humanity has gotten less kind over the years, but again, I just think it's silly. It is kind of silly. Personally, I didn't really feel that message about kindness, honestly, too much. It didn't really click with me like it did with other people, but like I said, it was fine. It had its moments, there were moments where I remember I was sitting there, and I remember there were moments when I was locked in. I was like, oh boy, I was really feeling it. I liked it. And then there were moments where I was kind of huh. It was ups and downs for me. A lot of ups and downs. Lots of extreme ups and lots of extreme downs. So it was like this. Again, it has its moments that are really good, but it gets overshadowed by some of its bad decisions, and which I will talk about more in the spoiler section. But again, I feel like moving forward, because they're already going to make more of these. They're already making Supergirl. Supergirl is happening right now. They're already filming the movie, and or have already gotten most of it filmed. The movie comes out next year, might I add. And again, I feel like they're rushing a bit, and I feel like if they're going to continue this, I think James Gunn needs to take a back seat when it comes to the writing, because Like I said, there were things in this movie that were really good, and there were things in this movie that were really questionable. And I feel like James Gunn, as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of people did compare this to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm not going to lie, I myself saw some of those parallels. And that's the problem. It's like, I don't want you to make a movie about yourself or your or what you're going through or whatever. This isn't about you. This is about the character. This is about the character. And I think it's better if maybe if he wants to be in charge, fine. He can be in charge, but he has to sit in the back. He can throw in his 2 cents. He's the boss. He gets to have the final say. But I think that he needs to take a back seat because of the way I walked out of this movie. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. There's a post-credit scene and there's an after-credit scene. The post-credit scene, the middle scene, this is not a spoiler. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna just save you time. If you want to watch the ending credits, you can for the final scene. The last scene, the middle scene, is just a trailer shot. It is just a trailer shot. Like, I feel like this movie was just all trailer shots and TikTok shit. Which some people of this younger generation might think that's okay. And are like, well, we want our modern day Superman too. And that's fine. You can have your modern day Superman. But don't ever forget about the core components of your character. Which most of the core components of this character are here. And that's good. But I feel like James Gunn put himself a bit too much in this film. And I remember when the movie was closing and the credits were about to roll, I was like, all right, the movie's, it's okay, it's good, it's maybe like about a 7 out of 10, I was thinking like around there. But then at the very end, we get a cameo that really, really annoyed me. And it made me very worried about the future of the DC universe and the movies and where they're going. And that unfortunately made me bump this down to a 6 out of 10. Now, I know a lot of people are probably like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, no. It's slightly above average. It's not an average movie, it's slightly above average, which is why I would say a 6. And this was really hard for me. This was really hard for me because I wanted to love this movie. I remember when Man of Steel came out. I remember how so conflicted I was with the movie. I was like, well, it was really well paced and they did a really good job with his character. But that last ending of that movie really just kind of wrecked it for me. Kind of like the same thing with the Wonder Woman movie. Like, oh man, that movie was really good up until like the last scene where I'm like, what was that? And it just really wrecked it for me. But with this one, it was just messy. It was all over the place. It felt like I got whiplash when we go to the next scene. And it just it doesn't take its time to establish this character. It just throws you into its universe. And yes, it does feel a little bit like a Saturday morning cartoon. And that's unfortunate. But I do like this movie. There were parts of this movie that I liked. But there were also a lot of things that brought it down for me. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to jump to spoiler sections now. So for those of you who have not seen the movie and you still want to watch it, this is probably the time to leave. If you have already seen it or you don't care, stick around because I'm gonna spill the beans. I'm gonna spill the tea, the sauce, all the good stuff, if you will. So, spoiler warning out of the way. All right, here we go. Superman's parents are awful. And really annoyed me in this movie. And I'm not talking about his human parents. I'm talking about his, Kryptonian parents, his real parents. So, apparently when Superman crashed to Earth as a baby, he had half of a message from his real parents. But he didn't know the other half of it. And the plot of the movie, besides Lex Luthor trying to kill Superman, it revolves around this whole idea that his parents wanted him to take over the planet and have a Harlem of women and spread the Kryptonian seed. And just, like, it was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was so bad. Like, it really, really wrecked it for me. That was one of the big things that wrecked it for me, was the parents thing. I was so angry about it because I was like, you didn't need to do that. They don't even, like, at the end of the movie be like, no, Lex was just lying. Because what happens is Lex breaks into the Fortress of Solitude and he finds the message, he steals it, he fixes the last part of the code of that transmission or that message, and then he just kind of like throws it on the news. And it's like, it's funny because I remember when we got to the end of the movie, I was just like, okay, so yeah, Lex is the bad guy now, but it's like, so you're just gonna discredit that? You're just gonna discredit Lex after what he showed you now? And so what? Now all's forgiven? Superman's all good now because his parents wanted him to be... And I get it, you know, like, we're not our parents. I get that. Like, he does explain that to some people, but again, it's just like, we're talking about the entire world here that's like, we just heard your message of your parents wanting to basically have you take over our planet. And we already were iffy with you for a while. So, like I said, it doesn't get really resolved. And it's just like that. That's why I'm hoping to God in the next Superman 2, whatever, please retcon that. Please retcon that and be like, oh no, Lex just made up some bullshit. Because as it stands right now, it does not look good. And I know some people think, well, that's kind of dumb of you to think that ruined the movie for you. It did, because it ruins what this means. It ruins what this means. And that's what I mean. Like, I feel like he tried to get away. Like, he tried to get away from the Zack Snyder shit so much that he even forgot about one of the most important things, which is what this symbol means. It's supposed to mean hope. And people are like, oh, I feel hopeful after watching this movie. Do you? Because I don't know. Like, it's like the symbol means nothing because of what his parents said, because they don't feel like good people anymore. So then it's like, okay, what does this mean to him, and what does he want this to now mean to the world? That question is not elaborated on, and it's not explored, because the movie is so focused on the plot with Lex trying to kill Superman, and Superman just trying to get his fucking dog back. Because that's the movie. That's the fucking movie. And then they pulled an Arkham Knight with us. Apparently Ultraman, who was the new bad guy that James Gunn was hyping up, like, oh man, I'm making a new villain for my movie. And then it turns out that he was just Ultraman. And then it turns out Ultraman was just a clone of Superman, which is how he got into the Fortress of Solitude, to steal the message from his parents and then do all that bullshit. Huh? So, it feels kind of like Superman 3 in that regard. Or like, you know what's funny? I remember I walked out of the theater, and I remember I was like, why did that feel like Spider-Man 3? Like like Spider-Man 3, like Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3. Like, I was like, yeah, it has its moments. It was like, it's messy. Like, what the hell? Like, again, bad ideas, but it had its moments. It was like bad ideas. And this was just one of those bad ideas. Like, and part of me, it makes sense of why Superman lost, because he loses the fight at the beginning of the movie with him, which is, again, makes sense, because, again, it was just him. He just was fighting himself. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I mean, it's a bit silly that Lex is, like, on an intercom, like, C10 or B12 or like all these code names or numbers for like things that Superman's about to do and to counter them, essentially. Because apparently 3 years is long enough for Lex Luthor to just learn how Superman fights. So, okay, sure, I guess, whatever. It's weird, but fine. And then like Krypto needed, and then like he needed Krypto to help him, fight the clone, and well, let me explain. Essentially, Krypto, what he did was he just like Superman had him like destroy these cameras that were watching or having Lex watch the fight. That's how he's able to like kind of like tell him what to do. Essentially, the bad guy Superman or Ultraman or whatever. And it was just dumb because it's like, well, couldn't you have just lasered it yourself? Or couldn't you have just crushed it yourself? Did you really need to pull in the dog to help you? So this movie also felt a lot like Superman and Krypto, the movie. And honestly, you might as well have just called it that, because that's what it feels like sometimes. Because like I said, the dog's there at the beginning, the dog's there in the middle, and the dog's there at the end. The dog's with him the entire time. There's only like maybe a scene or two where the dog's not there. But most of the time, the dog is there. And that's fine. I think that Krypto is a bit stupid sometimes. I feel like he could have been a bit smarter sometimes, but because they were trying to make him act like a real dog, and it was like, okay, that's fine, but it kind of leads back into the, well, there's too much James Gunn in here. Like, oh, an animal, so I got to have him be funny. He's the comic relief. He's the comedy, and it's like, yeah, it kind of works, but sometimes it is a little bit too much. Just a little bit too much. Not egregious, but definitely a little too much sometimes. But and I've been talking a lot of negative. What's some of the positives, Michael? What are some of the things that you like about the movie? Well, I already told you my brother's favorite scene in the non-spoiler review, so I can tell you about my favorite scene because it is a spoiler. So essentially, what's happening is Krypto, Superman, and Metamorpho and Metamorpho's baby that Superman was trying to protect from, the bad guys while he was like fighting in this like pocket dimension or whatever. They're all getting sucked into this black hole because essentially what's happening is because of this pocket dimension, it's making the universe essentially what's happening is it's unstable and there's a black hole in the pocket universe. And they're getting sucked into this black hole and Superman can't like everyone's getting sucked in. They're all about to die. And I got chills because then the music started playing and then everything kind of slowed down and then Superman just like uses his super breath and he like blows everybody like away from the black hole. I thought that was so awesome. I thought that was really cool, and it really shows like how strong Superman is, and it's just really good. Like I like that. I like when it's like I like that there were a lot of scenes like that where it's like if Superman wasn't here, we'd be fucking dead. Like that's it. We would be screwed. And there are a lot of scenes like that, and I really like that. I do like that about this movie, that there are a lot of scenes where it's like if Superman was not here, we'd be dead. And he does save the day a lot in this movie, and it's really, really cool. And I like that. Big thing I like that they are doing more with him. That's really, really good. But now, unfortunately, I have to go back to a thing that I was not happy about, which was the cameo at the end of the movie. So, I said there was a cameo at the end of the movie that made me go from a 7 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10. And it was Supergirl. Now, the first thing I want to say about Supergirl is I think that the actress playing her is really pretty. I think that she looks the part. I think she looks great. However, her first introduction is in this movie. And she shows up to the Fortress of Solitude drunk off her ass. She just got back from some planet with some red sun, because apparently Superman explained that they can't get drunk because of their powers, so that she probably went to like some place with a red sun. And in the back of my mind, I remember thinking to myself, like, how did she get here? Did she take a ship? Did she did she fly here? Were you drinking and flying? That's pretty irresponsible if you were. So she comes in and she's just like, she's all drunk, and then like when she leaves, because she's like, and then she likes this, she like takes like, so like walking with her dog or whatever, and she like talking to Clark or to Kal-El, and she's just like, thanks for watching my dog, bitch. And I'm just like, fuck you. Like, really? This is how you're gonna introduce this character? This is how you're gonna introduce this character. When I grew up, when I saw Supergirl, she was innocent, she was very sweet, she was very kind. But this Supergirl, at least from what I just fucking saw, is a drunk, irresponsible, and just completely fucking party girl. And it was just so disgusting. And I was gonna grab one of my video games because I wanted to show you. You have to remember, James Gunn, this is the same guy who wrote the video, who did a little bit of the writing and making of Lollipop fucking Chainsaw. Okay? So, his women in this movie make sense. All of them are hot. All of them are like 10 out of 10s. Hell, there's even hookers in here that are literally like 9, 10 out of 10s. That Jimmy Olsen's just walking by while trying to talk to Eve, Taskmaster, who's like fucking like literally like a foot high, like a foot taller than him, might I add. Like literally, he's like a short king in this movie. And because of Supergirl, I am worried, because we even got the poster and it says instead of look up, it's look out. It's like, yeah, you better look out because she's about to land on somebody's dick. How drunk she is. I'm just saying, I do not trust Gunn moving forward with the writing department fully on these characters. I think that he can have a decision-making process, but I don't know if he should be writing them. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. I mean, I could probably sit here for a long time talking about it, but I'm out of gas. I mean, I can't believe I've been doing this for over 40 minutes. This is going to be a bitched upload, but thank you for watching. I know this was a long one. I didn't expect it to be a long one. I thought it would be shorter, but I guess I had a bit more to say than I thought. So let me know what you guys thought about the movie in the comments below. I know that there's a spoiler section. We are in the spoiler section of the video here, but I don't know if I want us to talk spoilers in the comment section. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. You have my permission to do spoilers in the comments if you want, but my recommendation is to people don't look at comments then. I'll probably write that in my description just so people are aware of that, but like I said, 6 out of 10. Let me know what you would rate the movie, what you thought of the movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you like me, where you were in between? And with that being said, I'm out of here. Up and away. See you guys. There's a star